everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria Montefusco and I'm a lover of all things when it comes to makeup, beauty, and fragrance. And today I'm actually going to be continuing my Pat McGrath series because I purchased one of the Mothership palettes that I did not own during her most recent sale on her website. So this is the Mothership 9 Huetopian Dream, or as I like to call it, Divine Rose 3. So this palette is again a very like rosy, pinky kind of Pat McGrath palette. So nothing super like groundbreaking for the brand, which is why I waited until she had a sale. So I recently purchased this. I've used this a few times, but I thought what I would do today is provide a review of the palette, do a tutorial with it, do some swatches with it, and give my overall thoughts. So if you are interested in that, then please keep on watching. All right, in case you're not aware, this is what the palette looks like. So I believe that this palette kind of like builds with what Divine Rose 2 did. Like Divine Rose 1, very neutrally pinks. Divine Rose 2, a bit more fun. And then this one is even more fun. I also feel like this is a good continuation of Divine Rose 2 because there is also a multi-chrome in here. So yeah, that's the palette. I'm going to prime my eyes really quickly off camera and then we'll get started. All right, my eyes are primed, so let's get started. I'm going to go into my crease with this shade right here on the top row. It's like a dusty, pinky, nudie kind of matte. And I'm going to take my Nabla N306 to apply that shade. So I'm just going to use my normal windshield wiper motions to apply the color into my crease. Nothing super groundbreaking here. So this palette, to me, if you want like a little spoiler alert, has the same formulas that I'm used to in Pat McGrath palettes. The mattes aren't like overly powdery, but they're a little bit powdery. The Blitz Astral shades are great. The multi-chrome is pretty good. It's pretty subtle, but considering what the multi-chrome was like in Divine Rose 2, I'm not very surprised about that, because that was a more subtle multi-chrome and a more smooth formula versus some of Pat's other metallics, which have a little bit of a chunkier formula sometimes. So just get in the shade onto my eyes. Beautiful. Very easy. So now I'm going to go into my outer corner and I'm going to go into that dark brown shade. I'm going to take my Nabla N204 brush to apply that. Again, pretty powdery. Just tap off your brush and you shouldn't get really any fallout on your face as long as you're careful. This brown is a bit more buildable than other Pat McGrath browns that I've used in the past. It doesn't like come right off the brush with like boom pigment. Like you can build it up to be a bit more intense, which is good. So I feel like this brown matte is pretty beginner friendly. And if you all are wondering why I purchased this palette a little bit later versus when it released, I just thought it was very similar. Uh-oh, I just kind of ruined that multi-chrome. Anyways, what was I saying? If you're wondering why I waited to purchase this palette and didn't purchase it when it released, I thought it was very similar to Divine Rose 2, and I just didn't think it was worth the full $125 just to get it early. So I knew I wanted to purchase it, but I was waiting for a sale. So when I saw that sale pop up, I knew that was my opportunity to buy it. All right, now I'm going to blend with my Nabla N305 brush, just blending that outer corner so there's not really any harsh edges. So today, I'm not going to be using the multi-chrome because I want to do something using that bright purple shade in the palette. And I'm not sure if you can see, but I dug the end of one of my eyeshadow brushes into the multi-chrome, so there's like a little bit of a divot in there now. Kind of a bummer, but oh well, that kind of stuff happens to everybody. All right, so that is it for the mattes on the top part of my eye. Pretty simple look today, to be honest. And now I'm going to take my glitter primer, my glitter glue, and I'm just going to apply that onto my eyes, and then we're going to go into the really fun metallics, and yeah, complete the look and all of that. All right, so first I'm going to go into the purple Blitz Astral shade, and then I'm going to fade that out into the gold Blitz Astral shade. So that is what I'm going to do on my eyes, on the lid. This purple shade is definitely one of those Pat McGrath special shades that are a bit drier to the touch and a bit more chunky and less pigmented of a base when you apply it. And then that gold, to be honest, just feels like a classic Pat McGrath gold. Nothing too special there. Pat loves her golds and Pat loves her pinks and purples. This is actually my first time using this gold in this palette, so this shade is a first impressions, but it's just like other Pat McGrath golds. I like it, but it seems like she has a gold in every single one of her palettes, so nothing groundbreaking here. All right, that is it for my lid. So now I'm going to take that shade in the top corner, that really beautiful Blitz Astral shade, and I'm going to apply that into my inner corner and also my brow bone. This shade is just like a beautiful pink to like gold reflect. It's really, really pretty. It's very sparkly. There we go. Ooh, that is pretty. All right, and now I'm going to take that coral matte on the bottom row, and I'm going to use this Nabla N304 brush. Going to apply that onto my lower lash line. All right, that is it for the look. I'm going to apply my eyeliner, mascara, lips, all of that stuff off camera, and then I'll provide my overall thoughts of the palette as well as swatches. All right, so this is the final look with mascara, eyeliner, lips, all of that stuff. So overall, I believe this is like the third or fourth time I've used this palette. I do enjoy this palette. I do not regret buying it. It's the same Pat McGrath formulas that I personally know and love, and maybe you all do too. But I do have to say, like, based on this packaging and how bright and colorful this is, I was expecting more from this palette color story. I was expecting blues, greens, yellows, of course pinks, maybe some reds, like what is on the package, which is so bright and vibrant, and then what is actually the palette, to me don't really have that same vibe. So I'm a little bit disappointed overall in the color story. I do think it's extremely similar to Divine Rose 2 in particular. So if you have Divine Rose 2 in your collection, you certainly do not need Huetopian Dream, like, at all. But I do think that by having Divine Rose 1, 2, and 3, well, I call this Divine Rose 3, but by having Divine Rose 1 and 2, as well as Huetopian Dream, they all do work very well with each other because they're all that same color tone family, so it's really easy to like mix and match shades from those palettes. But overall, I just want Pat to expand from her normal like pinks, golds color story into something a little bit more interesting and different, but I do think this formula is really good. So overall, I like this palette, I like this look, I like all the looks I've done with it. So now that we've talked about that, let's do some quick swatches so you all can see what this palette looks like. And also feel free to compare these swatches with my swatches of Divine Rose 1 and 2. I have videos on those palettes, so you can check them out on my channel. Okay, so let's start with the first shade. I'm just gonna go row by row. This is like a champagne-y, shimmery shade. I feel like she has these like all of her palettes. We're gonna swatch the matte that I applied into my crease, and we're gonna swatch this like bronzy brown shade, again, a normal shade that she has in her palettes. So here are the first three shades swatched out. very commonly found shades in Pat McGrath palettes. Next, we're going to swatch the gold that I used today. That really pretty gold. That again is nothing super special. And then we're going to swatch that inner corner shade, which is a really beautiful like pink to gold with like a little bit of blue reflect in it. That is the first row of the palette. That pinky shade does have a bit more of that transparent base, and it's definitely that like rougher Blitz Astral formula. So keep that in mind. The gold definitely a smoother formula, and it has a lot of base pigment to it. So going on to the next row, we have the dark brown. We have this like pinky metallic, and then we have that bright pink matte that I used on my lower lash line. So there are the next three shades. And then last but not least, the final two shades of the palette, we have the multi-chrome, which in my opinion shifts from a green to like a brownish shade and like a little bit of like pink in there. So it's a pretty multi-chrome, nothing super unique. I have multi-chromes like this in my collection. You know, there's like an orangey green, kind of yellowy shift in there. And then we have that Blitz Astral Purple that I used today, also that rougher formula, and not a lot of base pigment to it. So it doesn't really swatch well, but as you can see on my eyes, if you have a glitter glue, it does look really pretty. So there are shades of the palette, and then I'll just show you that multi-chrome some more on my finger. So hopefully you can see some of those shifts that I'm talking about. Ooh. So yeah, there's the palette swatched out. Some of those shades that don't have a lot of base pigment, those metallics, which are the shade I used in my inner corner and then that purpley shade I used on my lid. They don't swatch well, but they do look good as long as you use a glitter glue. But overall, all of the other shades did swatch really well onto my hand. So that is it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, then please like the video. It helps out with the YouTube algorithm, and it also helps me know what kinds of content you like to see on my channel. If you like me, please subscribe. I'd love to have you all here. I post 2 to 3 videos per week. And if you have anything to comment down below, any questions about this palette or any other Pat McGrath palettes, anything like that, please comment down below. I love to have conversations with you all and chat with you all about makeup and fun things like that. And with that, thank you for spending a little part of your day with me, and I will see you all next time. Bye!